What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Exchange for another Bad Batch after show. Not reviewing one episodes, not two, not three, not four, not five, but 6 episodes today. We're reviewing 6 episodes, catching up with you guys, talking about what's been going on with us, what's been going on in the Bad Batch, lots been going on. Maybe even might touch on that Acolyte trailer as well today. A lot to get through. It's been a couple of weeks. We've been just a bit too busy to get to the Bad Batch every week, unfortunately, like we would have liked to. But we're still going to cover it regardless, like we said in our premiere review. So yeah, and Bad Batch has been going great. Like we want to be talking about it, so we're very happy to be sitting down and doing that today. Before we get into it, Mike, what's been going on with you? How you going, buddy?
I'm doing great. As you said, we're keen to talk Bad Batch. Sorry that we have not put out any reviews, but life has just been busy for the both of us, and I'm on spring break. That's the only reason, or one of the only reasons we're doing this today, is I'm on spring break, and actually it's coming to you a day later, so than we normally would. But I got around to watching the episode last night till like 9 at night, even though Disney Plus was already promoting at 7 in the morning with, teasing Ventress back and being like, watch a new episode and teasing Ventress all in the front. And it's like, great. What happened to waiting? And we get it. There's people that stay up out 2 in the morning. I used to do that too. But then I stopped after it wasn't rewarding enough. And now I got a full-time job. So it's a bit hard to stay up at 2 in the morning when I got to be up at 6. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, just made me mad. I went on my phone at school to post something on my story about school, and then I see that post from Disney. I'm like, really? I mean, I saw it coming, but really? Can you just give me the day? So anyways, I'll save that rant for later. But I'm doing great. I'm tired.
I was gonna say, outside of the Ventress spoiler, how has your last 6 weeks been?
Wait, has it been really 6 weeks?
I think so. Well, at least over a month, yeah.
Something like that, but it's insane. But no, I've been good, just chilling, doing a lot of different stuff. Haven't really been really wrapped up in the Star Wars world because it's just hard to. I don't know how. I just don't know how people make it work where they have full-time jobs and then attend to all these different things with Star Wars. Where I'm like, I can't even make a post anymore. Like I can't, or I could barely sometimes even get to watching around. The 22-minute episodes. I'm like, I could not imagine like sitting there and watching a full hour of Mandalorian again, or I couldn't do that stuff anymore. So it's but other than that, with Star Wars, everything's good. The school year feels like it's winding down, and everybody keeps asking me if I'm coming back, and well, I don't know yet, but it's just and I know there's students out there that watch the podcast, as they've told me, so I'm like, okay, that's great. Like that's, they don't get sick of me. But yeah, life is good. Really grateful. I've learned a lot the past couple months about myself and what I mean, a lot of people at school and just in general, and it's just taught me a lot. And Star Wars has helped me get to that place because of the life lessons that are taught throughout the stories, and it's just incredible. And I just absorb everything like a sponge. So eventually I just crack and just let everything out and all that. But yeah, it's just been an emotional past couple of months with just everything and anything going on. And I was telling Ari yesterday, I'm like, a school day is like a movie. Like so much things happen in it where it's just like a week later, I'll like digest everything that happened that one day and be like, what the heck? Like what is life teaching middle schoolers? Like it's just bizarre sometimes. I'm like, what am I doing? Where am I at? What are these kids up to these days? Like so unique. But as Yoda once said, truly wonderful the mind of a child is. So I'll leave it at that. But Ari, how have you been going? How's the past been couple weeks with Star Wars and all, and how's just life in general?
For sure. Well, yeah, first of all, it does sound like every day is a movie for you, so considering some of the stories you've been telling me. So good, but good to hear you've been out there doing your thing, doing well in life. So definitely happy to see that. But yeah, no, I've been doing good. Yeah, Star Wars wise, I'm with you, man. Like it's hard to just stay so like I don't even know the word, but just immersed in the world and the community and everything like that when you've got a trillion other things going on. I guess both of us are just growing up a bit because all of a sudden we're busy all the time and yeah, it's like I want to sit down and just watch Star Wars all day, but I guess it's not. It's just not like that anymore. But like, no, in all seriousness, it is nice to be able to tune in and catch the Bad Batch once a week and stuff like that, just to keep in touch. But yeah, like my Instagram page has just been pretty much dead for the last almost year now. Like that's not. I didn't actively make a decision. I'm going to stop posting on it. It just sort of happens. You know what I mean? And definitely something I want to like the podcast though. It's nice to just be able to sit here every couple of weeks and talk Star Wars and talk anything else. So we're still staying in touch. It's not like we've just thrown it all away, but yeah, these days it's just and I think I was talking to my brother about it. There's just like it's just less going on in Star Wars, to be honest, nowadays. Like no movies coming out, nothing like that. So but I mean, Bad Batch has still been great, and yeah, no, life's good though. Just working and everything else. Getting ready to go away, which is very exciting. I'm flying over back to the States in about a week's time. Going to see Mikey Boy and a few other people. So yeah, should be good. Excited to see Mike again and everyone else. So yeah, it's gonna be great. But no, I'm good. Let's talk about Bad Batch though, because it has been 6 episodes that we haven't talked about yet on the podcast. Starting with, we had a different approach, Crosshair and Omega, sort of the aftermath of them escaping. Then we had the return, where Crosshair returned to the group, obviously. Infiltration and Extraction, that double episode where, what do they do in that one?
The secret clone guy? The secret op?
Yeah. With the secret operative, and we saw Wolf and everything like that. Then Bad Territory, the Phoenix Shand episode. What's up?
You couldn't see what was going on, right? Because you watched the episode in like a bright room, and it was like total darkness throughout the episode.
Yes. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I'm sure we'll talk about this more later. But Infiltration and Extraction, good episodes, but it was like listening to an audiobook because I could not see anything the entire time that was happening. It was literally like watching an episode of The Walking Dead. Like it was just darkness. Couldn't see a thing. But anyway, had those episodes. Then the Fennec episode. Then, of course, the Asajj episode tonight. So a lot to talk about. Mike, I guess let's just start off by saying, how have you felt about the season so far since we last talked about it? Yeah, how are you feeling? Has there been a standout episode for you? Standout moment? Any characters doing anything for you? How are you feeling?
Super. I'm getting similar vibes that I did with season 2, where I'm like, what are we doing? Just kidding. I am total opposite
I was like,
to
what?
that. No, this season, and I think I put something on my story, or maybe not, but I really truly think this is one of the best seasons of animation so far. I mean, we could totally screw this up, but we are just building upon building every week. Even though like this episode that we got today didn't get much, but at the same time we got plenty. And it's just, I cannot believe that we went from having some episodes that we did last season where I'm like, what is going on? Like, how much money are we spending to tell this story that doesn't feel the need to be told? You know, I'm specifically thinking about some of the Temple episode, or that Temple episode that we had last year, and the Gunji episode. It's fine. I really like that episode, but I'm just like, could have been done way better. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of examples from that season that I'm like, what were we doing this time around? Even that Crosshair, but even though I'm so tired of the cliche of Bad Batch doing like, and they even were so self-aware that they made a call out like another big creature that we got to fight. And I was like, yeah, it seems to happen like every episode or every other episode week. But like this season, even though we had that in that Crosshair rejoining the crew, even though we had that week, it was still so well done. And we returned to where Crosshair like kind of got fed up with the Empire, and we got some elaboration why he was done, you know. And I love that Crosshair isn't just like, I love Callus's redemption moment in Rebels, but I really feel like I love that we're expanding on it with Crosshair. It wasn't like, hey, I'm part of the crew again. Yeah, what's up? Like, we're actually like getting pieces here and there. And we even got some pieces in this last episode, or some light shed on it, which I really liked. But in that one particular episode, the return. I mean, we got like the whole speech Crosshair was saying about like I was tired of being used and whatever, and like loyalty is a two-way street and all this stuff, and it was just well done and amazing, just amazing scripts. Like again,
Yeah.
not maybe not much may happen in these episodes and some of them, but like the dialogue is amazing. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Where I'm like, is this a animated show? I'm thinking about like all the kind of goofy stuff that we encounter with Clone Wars and Rebels, and this just is so like it is that goofy stuff, but it's so much serious, and it just feels like we're watching an HBO like a thriller series into animation form, and it's just so well done. So yeah, every like literally this entire season so far has been like 8 out of 10 episodes, like rating per episode or more, you know. It's I've been loving every single episode where I eventually rewatch it just because I'm like, wow, that was so good. When last year I was like, what are we doing? I feel so lost. It felt like a fever dream sometimes. I just have to give it credit to Jennifer Corbett. Um, what's the other guy's name? The whole crew. I just have to give it applause to everybody. And I know Dave Filoni is just kind of like a producer in this, and he's just kind of in the background sometimes, like, you know, whispering ideas to these guys, but they're the ones that are really like carrying this forth, and all credit goes to them. Like, I just got to say, like, have been loving these episodes, and there's so much intrigue in them, and so many storylines that we're following along the season, and it doesn't feel all over the place like season 2 does. Like here, we're getting like what's going on with the clone operative. Wait, what's going on with Wolf and Rex? What's going on with Omega? Right, that's the main plot point with Omega. This season, it's like, who is she? Like, why is she being chased down? Then we still got Hemlock's story and Nala Se, and we got the Emperor in the mix. Now we have Asajj Ventress in the mix, and there we have so many threads, and it doesn't feel overwhelming, and it doesn't feel like we're losing the narrative at all. So I've been the past couple weeks, I loved coming home and watching Bad Batch. I may not get to it right away because I'm, you know, in the midst of dinner and all that, but I get home and I just make it a time to like, I'm like, no, I cannot watch this like in my room or on my laptop. I have to watch this with surround sound and everything, like the movie theater experience. So yeah, like this has been outstanding. Like I can only think of like Rebel season 2 is really good, but then there's some like episodes. Season 3 likewise. Season 4 really slow start. I mean, this so far this is like going full steam ahead. There's no like bumps or episodes where I'm like, okay, like the point is at the end of every episode I'm like, wow, like I feel satisfied. I can't wait till next week. I've never been left feeling like, dang, like we waited a week for this. Like genuinely, I don't know if that's because I'm so busy now, but like when I sit down and watch it, I'm like, wow, like I can't wait for next week. That was good. Like it leaves us some breadcrumbs for next week that I'm like, I'm just pumped to get to next week and be like, I wonder what it's going to be about, you know. So that's just my thing. I've just been enjoying these, and I've actually really missed talking about them with you on the pod. Like I just want to dissect every single bit of them because I'm like, really? We sat here last year talking about, oh, you know, this temple episode, and you know, oh my god, like what was going on? I felt like an Indiana Jones. Like no, like there's so much stuff going on here that we could sit down and talk about 4 hours, and it's like now it's like now I'm sitting here being like, oh man, we're not doing the episodes justice because them, you know, in their own right, they're amazing. So that's my monologue for tonight.
With you. By the way, 2 quick things to respond to you with. First of all, I think the guy's name is Brad Rao, the other showrunner. Yeah.
Yes.
And the Gunji episode, so random that you brought that up, but it just literally had me now thinking, I'm starting to see why that episode exists in terms of giving an audience an introduction to the Empire chasing down people with M counts, etc., and teasing that Omega storyline. Anyway, I just had that thought that might have been what that was about. But yeah, no, dude, I'm definitely with you just in terms of the quality of this season. Like the quality has been so high week to week. There seriously has not been a bad episode. Like And to be honest, I never feel like there is bad episodes, but there's more just episodes where, yeah, you sort of get that feeling, oh, wow, like that's all we're getting this week, like the temple or whatever it is. So, yeah, it's hard to point out any flaws in it because it's been really great so far. And I love that they're kind of speeding up the release of it, doing the double episodes, all that sort of thing, which has been good. But yeah, week to week, it's just been a super enjoyable watch. I'm just loving what they're doing with Crosshair. Like, it's so like Jennifer Corbett and Brad Rao must have heard someone say, "I'm sick of redemption stories in Star Wars ending with the redeemed person just dying straight away."
Yeah.
I'm so glad they did this with Crosshair. It's because I like just not within Star Wars, just within media. It's just something you don't regularly see over a 3-season show. You know, starts with them. The first season ends. They had that perfect sort of cliche moment at the end of season 1 for him to go off with the group, and they would have sorted it out in season 2, and everything would have been fine. But no, he stays with the Empire even longer for a whole other season. And it gets even worse than it did, even though we couldn't even imagine it get worse, but it does. And then it takes him to the point of oh man, that episode in season 2, the one in the snow, everyone loves, takes us to that episode. We get an incredible episode there. And then he finally comes back around. And not only does he come back around, he comes back around and gets accepted by everyone. Obviously, in the real world, he sort of did some things that are pretty unforgivable. But within Star Wars, you can sort of tell this story where it's like he comes back. He gets accepted by not only the Bad Batch, but by just the community we saw in this recent episodes. He gets accepted by the other clones, even though, of course, there was initially something going on at first. Like, he didn't just come back and everyone accepted him. I kind of wish that honestly went for longer, where that acceptance took even longer, but I'm glad we just got it at all, to be honest. So yeah, his story has been seriously standing out to me. I just love to see it. And it's something, yeah, we haven't seen in Star Wars, which is super, super refreshing. I'm loving everything with Omega this season. The M count stuff is starting to get a little, like, I don't know how to explain how I feel. I'm just a little bit reserved with what they're doing now. I don't want Omega to become a Jedi or whatever. If that's what happens, I'm open to it. But I heard Star Wars Explained say this, and I thought that was a great point, that this season or this show, you could argue, is about parenthood, right? And one of the biggest things in parenthood is letting your kids go. And maybe that's what the end of this season is going to be, is that the Bad Batch have to sort of let Omega go. And maybe that's to go off with Ventress or to go off with, anyone else.
With Luke. Yeah.
Oh, please no. But yeah, so like and just I thought that was a great point. But all in all, loving this season. I think, but outside of the first 3 episodes, because we've already talked about them, like I'm trying to think of what a standout episode has been, because they've all been good. I really loved episode 4 and 5. I thought those were really strong, like a different approach, that one with Omega and Crosshair sort of working together. And then
that made me cry at the end. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And then the return with Crosshair returning to the crew and returning back to that planet where it all went down from. I thought those were seriously standouts. And then even this week, I love that moment between Crosshair and Omega where Crosshair's all reserved, like, oh, like, we just can't be trusted, blah, blah, blah. And then Omega's like, but, people can change. I trusted you and you've changed. And,
Yeah.
I just, like, you said it the best. Like, just the dialogue has been unbelievable. Like, so good. And it's hard to compare all the different animated shows, but just as a season, like this so far is by far the best season of the Bad Batch, like by a long way. No disrespect to the first 2 seasons, because I love those too, but this has just been consistently good, great storytelling. The characters are compelling. Just everything about it has been great. So yeah, do you want to start going through the episodes a bit? Do you want to talk about a different approach? Episode 4, Crosshair and Omega escaping Tantus, working together. What do you think of that one?
No, I love that one, and I love the new scenery that was there. It reminded me of Kijimi from the Rise of Skywalker. Just because of all the, I don't know, it just felt like a bunch of CD stuff was happening, but it honestly reminded me of a Visions short. I think it was the ballerina one where there's like this governor guy in a like trench coat or whatever, and like they're like performing for stormtroopers or whatnot. Or like some dancer. I forgot what it's called.
I didn't really think about that, but that's a good point. It does feel like a Visions episode.
It just did, and because it just felt so in the universe, but also so out because it felt like so human and realistic than something that what probably was encountered in Germany in World War II and all that, and it was just
Yeah.
really well done, and it was just so tense when Omega was going up against that one lieutenant, and I was like, oh no, like this is gonna go bad, and then everything's good, right? And that's what the writing is perfect this season. Like right when you think they're gonna hit a cliche, they don't. And they do it, they do have their own
Yeah.
twist on it, and it's great. So I was like waiting there, being like, oh, like it's gonna discover that Omega's, the fugitive. Not at all what happened, or cheat her out immediately. No, he's like, no, nope, she wins. She wins fair. But there's a gambling fee. You've been ticketed or whatever, and that was just so well done. And I absolutely love the chaos that ensued with the cages and the animals, and we saw familiar animals from Star Wars all around, and like that was just great. That was great. I was waiting to see a puffer pig, but that was all great. And cool. Like there's those like animals from the Gregor episode. When what was the episode called? Oh yeah, there's the puffer pig. Here's mine. Mine is in my classroom. I do not have mine. But that was, what was the episode with Gregor and Meeber Gascon? George Lucas's favorite episode, supposedly.
Oh, like Lost in the Void or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the Void
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
You saw those same creatures. I'm like, wow, what a cool callback. And I mean, just overall great. And when you finally get that, and I totally forgot Crosshair was with Omega and the ship, and we went to a familiar looking place that they had been to, I think during the Ryloth episode when they're doing a weapons exchange or something. But with that beautiful background, that like beautiful like space background, and you get to Crosshair coming out of the ship and being like, oh my god, I forgot that he was there, and just kind of like just and they left it there for you to be like, what the heck, like, oh my god. So that was awesome.
Dude,
so yeah,
can I just say that's been my favorite episode of the season so far.
Oh really?
Because I totally agree with what you're saying. It's like you get like, because for me I got so wrapped up in the fact that Omega was back with them and the emotions of that.
Yeah.
And then like you forget the Crosshair's even coming out, and then he does, and then that fills you with all sorts of other emotions. It was just such a good moment, and I genuinely like shed a tear during it was so well done. The music was beautiful. Just best moment of the season for me so far.
Yeah, and yeah, that too. The Omega, like that reaction was so earned, because I just felt so sorry for this girl in this lab being used as kind of like, not as a lab rat yet, but what the clones called her in the very first episode of season 1, a lab scrapper, and she was just walking around being like kind of like a lab pet, doing cleaning duties and all this stuff, and being imprisoned. And I mean, just it was such a great episode, too, and ended off on a great note with them. Not, you didn't get to see the reunion right away, so that was great, but you just saw that Crosshair was back, and it's like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? So that, all in all, that was a great episode, and I love that it left off right after the hunt of them leaving Tantus, so that was great.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and same thoughts as what you said about just the episode happening with the gambling and all that. It felt like a Visions episode, just nice focused story. I like when the story is just really focused on like just some like a small sort of conflict like that. They weren't out there having, facing the entire empire. The Emperor's shooting lightning out of his hands. It was just Omega, Crosshair in a bar. Tension was high. Stakes were high. But in sort of like a lower level kind of way.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just a really neat little episode that when it ended, I was like, oh my god, it's over. And like the emotions of that episode were just fantastic. Really good stuff.
Truly.
And then moving on to the return, we didn't get a straight continuation of that scene, which I thought was interesting, but I liked what they did anyway. And AZ's back, which was good to see. I don't know if we'd seen him before, but it was nice to see AZ in that in episode 5. Crosshair's dealing with the tremor in his hand, which I don't know if they've really sorted that out yet, or what the go is. But the way I'm seeing is, I really hope that they can have this story where like they sort of show Crosshair that like he's so much more than a sniper. You know what I mean? Like his self-worth is more than being able to shoot things, because like it's one of those things, like you look at all the Bad Batch and their skills can be applied to anything else in life. Tech is smart. Echo is like is a droid. I don't know how to even explain that. Wrecker is strong. Hunter is like can like track stuff. Like Crosshair's skills don't really apply to anything but being a soldier. You know what I mean? But then at the same time, it's like that shouldn't be his entire self-worth shouldn't be based upon the fact that he's a sharpshooter. You know what I mean? So I don't really know where they're going with that story, but I hope that it goes in the direction of them being like, you're worth a lot more to us than just being able to shoot things. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and that's sort of how that episode started. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I like it. I agree with you, and it seems like that's what he's coming to terms with, that he's not like, I love that they took that ability away from him, because like what it reminded me of was spoilers for Stranger Things, but at the end of season 3, like 11 gets bit by the creature that she was fighting and she loses her powers, her telekinesis. And so you get to the season 4 and she doesn't have that anymore. And it's like, what does she do without it? Because she was the one bailing her friends out of situations that, oh, like just call on Elle and she can use the force basically. It's like, but then in season 4 she doesn't have it. What do we do? So I love that that's kind of what is going on for Crosshair, where he doesn't have that ability, because it's funny, he'll start like a gunfight and then like it'll be like, oh, Crosshair's got this, and then immediately you feel the danger because you see his hand shaking and he's missing every shot he takes, and it's like it brings a real danger to the situation and to the story, and you're like, oh my god, like is Crosshair gonna get hurt? Is he gonna get shot and taken away? Like what's gonna happen? So now the stakes are there, when they were there before, but it's just in a different way. And so I feel like it's opening a lot of Crosshair's character, because I love that AZ, they think it's like a medical thing that happened, or and but AZ alluded to the fact that it's up here in your head. Like I think it has to do something with that, and I love that they left it at that. And I think next week's episode is called Identity Crisis. So I wonder if we're going to continue that character development there, where Crosshair is going to have to confront that. So I'm very curious, but I absolutely love that moment AZ had with Crosshair, and he was trying to like practice and shoot and all that, and he told him his results were bad and all that, and then AZ tried to do some procedure on him, didn't work, and he said, hey, I think it's up here. So absolutely, and that brings out all the juices and flavors that Crosshair has, because like I said, when I watched I was so excited when the Clone Wars was revived, and they're like, we're gonna finish the series off the way it was meant to be finished off. I remember the teaser dropping at San Diego Comic-Con. I think it was 2018. I jumped around my room, not this house, the other house that I had, and I just jumped around in that room on the second floor. And my family, it was like, is everything okay? Because I was jumping around crazy. I was like, oh my god, this is like my dream come true. Like this is everything I asked for. Like you gotta think about it. When Clone Wars was canceled, I was like in 8th grade. And then all throughout like the next year in high school, I remember sitting in my seat on March 7th, like being like, the Clone Wars, like the last season comes out today. I got to get home and watch season 6. Like, and it was all the episodes were available to you on Netflix. And like, I got home and just like cranked them out till like midnight. And just like, when it was over, I just like cried. I was like, that's it. And then it didn't really hit me that it was over until like, I think the year before, like they started releasing, or I think that summer they started releasing like the Son of Dathomir comic. And I was like, wow, it was painful. Cause it was like, I love that I'm getting to read this story, but this should have been in an animated arc. So anyways, it's just wild to me that, like just Bad Batch, it just feels like a great continuation of all that. But, with going back to Crosshair's character, like, Bad Batch, the arc comes out, like the first episode comes out, and I was like, I watched it and I was like, okay, like I've seen this arc before, the animatics, and I was like, yeah, I liked it and all, but I'm watching this and I'm like, this kind of feels stale, but I'm gonna vibe with it. It looks beautiful though, beautiful animation, beautiful music, all that. Get to the second episode, I'm like, I'm not vibing with this. And the next episode, I did not show up. Everybody else was watching at midnight, all my friends, and I was like, I really don't care. Which is crazy because I love, like, I literally was depressed that Clone Wars was canceled. Like, I remember seeing the IGN article and like being so upset. But
Yeah.
so I did not like the Bad Batch arc. When we got the Ahsoka and the Martez sister arc, was it great? No, but it was something different and it felt flavorful and it didn't feel stale like the Bad Batch arc did to me with these characters. Now I go back and I love that arc because it feels like a great introduction to the great characters that we have now, thanks to Jennifer Corbett, Brad Rao, and company. But and Matt Mikovits. But at the time, I was like, oh my god, these characters are just caricatures. They're the stereotypicals. They're like just 2D characters to me. So Crosshair was the one that I just despised. I was like, he's just a jerk, to put it kindly, to keep it PG. I'm like, he is a jerk. And you get to the show and oh my god, like this is a fully like developed character, and you just, like I said, you get all the juices from him, and it's just so great that they like totally opened the doors to him, and like he was the I hated him. I hated Crosshair. I'm like, he's just a big jerk. And then you get to season 2 of Clone War or the Bad Batch, and it's like, I'm literally dying for his episodes because they're going to be good but painful. Yeah. And so he carried last season. He carried that season. Would have not been watchable without him. I would have dropped the show the way I dropped Resistance season 2. So anyways, I
don't believe you. You wouldn't have dropped the show.
I genuinely would have, because I got so fed up with the episodes and I was bored. Like, I was just bored. Genuinely, honest to God. Anyways, I'll get off my soapbox about Crosshair and his loveliness.
No, for sure. I agree with what you're saying though. But I guess to take it back to that episode, ultimately it was just good to get that, it was just one of those Bad Batch episodes where on the surface, it's just them fighting a big beast and having to conquer it, but within that there was a lot of good layers. I thought I spoke to people that were saying that maybe it wasn't executed as good as it was and not a lot actually happened, but I thought the dialogue was good. The tension between Hunter and Crosshair was really great. Overall, it was just a nice, welcoming back a nice welcome for him back into the crew. I did wish maybe they spoke a little bit more directly about some of the things he'd done and been like, dude, what the hell? You did this to us, how, and you want us to forgive you? How do you expect us to do that? I wanted a bit more of that, but for the most part, I was pleased with it. Talking about the next episode, a double episode, actually, the one that I listened to like an audiobook because it was so dark. Literally, I'm looking at the Disney Plus thumbnail and it's Hunter holding up a torch. I wish he held up that torch for the full 40 minutes because I actually could have seen it. But anyway, I'll get off my my rant on that. But yeah, 2 solid episodes. Wolf was back. I liked that he didn't just it wasn't a similar thing with Hauser where, or not even Hauser, but just any other clone saying, hey, your inhibitor chip, snap out of it, whatever. It was Wolf actually stayed with them, but it was good. It also got me thinking, what's going on with Cody? Are we ever going to see him again? But and I think we will by the end of the series. But good to see Wolf. Overall, good episodes. Was it Gregor? Who was the clone that needed to earn his trust back? It was Gregor, right? I'm not tripping. Or Gregor was off with Echo. So this is what happens when we don't review the episode.
It was Hauser. It was Hauser.
Hauser, of course. Yeah. Oh, good to see him as well.
I know they all sound the same when you can't see them.
It's true.
Sorry, just had that moment for you.
No, that was good. But yeah, no, good episodes, and it was good to see. Oh man, the Senator from season 1, the Separatist one, and of course, what's her name, Mike?
Who?
The other senator.
Chuchi?
Senator Chuchi? Yeah. Chuchi. Good to see them at the start of the episode. Following up, this felt like this double episode felt like almost a sequel to the double episode we got last season.
Yes, absolutely.
The Coruscant one. So yeah, I don't really have like a lot to say about them besides I enjoyed them, and yeah, I couldn't say anything but still enjoyed them. But no, and the end of episode 7, this the second part of the two-parter where Crosshair's fighting the what's his name,
The operative.
the other clone that's, I don't know what they had a name for them, but the clones that have been messed up essentially by the Empire. I thought that was great because it was literally Crosshair fighting himself in a way, like that's what he could have become, and then he
Right.
literally gets baptized by that clone and has like this rebirth. There was just really nice, I guess, symbolism, but that really felt like the point where I was like, okay, Crosshair is back. You know, it feels right that it took at least 3 episodes for him to rejoin the group in like terms of being trusted and everything like that. And sure, they glossed over some of the horrible things he did, but you know, it's Star Wars. This is a show that's aimed to be watchable for kids. They're not going to go too deep into that. So yeah, overall, really solid episodes. Good seeing Rex, and yeah, I think this double episode was also kind of setting up the high stakes for the end of the season, like the whole Clone Rebellion, saving Tantus, all that sort of thing. So yeah, that's sort of my thoughts. What did you think of the double ep?
Loved it. It definitely felt like a sequel. You got the same kind of type of characters in there. You got Rex back. You got Senator Chuchi. You got the clone operative.
Yeah,
and yeah, they expanded on that whole program, and that was great, and that was scary at the same time. It was just great, and it was great that I love that they can come back to like places that we know, but not like bang you over the head with it. Like, this is Teth. This is where the beginning of the Clone Wars was. It's like, yeah, we know,
I
right?
didn't mention that Teth, of course, yeah.
You know, it's great, and it's like then they were in the forest of where like Anakin and Ahsoka were in, and it's just great. I love that. For me, 13-year-old me, if you had told me that a sequel, a successor to the Clone Wars show was gonna come out and like use the same, go to familiar places that we've been to in Clone Wars, or expand on stuff that wasn't expanded on the show and all this other stuff, I just would have died. Like, I would have been like, what? No, that's not possible. That's crazy. Like, it's wild to me. And I even, this past week with Ventress, I'm like, dude, this is just awesome. Like, the fact that like we Star Wars fans are so spoiled because like people of their favorite shows, they only get like maybe sometimes only 2 seasons. We not only have the Clone Wars, but then we have Rebels, which is a legacy show to Clone Wars in a lot of ways. And now we have this one, which is a direct like sequel from the Clone Wars, and you literally get the moment the Clone Wars ends and a new era begins. And I'm like, and they just use all the same characters and continue the story of the clones. And I'm like, this is great. Like, I'm really gonna miss this show. I'm really gonna miss this show. But I thought those 2 episodes were great. The first episode, loved that we learn more about the clones and all the secrecy with the little clone rebellion, and it really boggles my mind of what Rex was doing lounging in season 2 Rebels, just being like, on I forgot what that planet's called, Silos, just being like, like, yeah, we don't have much fight these days. I want to get to that point. I want to see what makes him kind of just,
I think we will. Yeah.
I want to see that of like, I'm tired of fighting kind of deal, that, you know, just what I would just want to retire. So I'm really interested in seeing all that. And the clone operative stuff was really cool. I'm like, oh wow, they're really going to town with this. And I think one of them died, and then they spawned another one, and the way they were activated, that was pretty creepy. That was cool though. And we learned more about the program, that, you know, it's just they're brainwashed basically, and all this other stuff. At Crosshair was supposed to be one of them, and I didn't even. The episode was so good it didn't lead me on a trail of like, who, I wonder who that clone operative is. But
Yeah,
apparently the whole internet was talking about it, and saying, was it is it Cody? Is it Tech? And now I don't want them to revive Tech, but and I wish we recorded our reactions to these episodes at least, or something, because I came up with this idea when I was rewatching the marathon, or I was having a marathon of Bad Batch to get up to season 3, and they stop and make a point in season 2 with a Dr. Hemlock. They stop and make a point that he's just I think Palpatine put it best, that some people will consider his work an abomination, right? And they make a point, and I think Tech is the one that makes the point that Hemlock was kicked out of the Republic Science Academy for the experiments being inhumane and too extreme, and he was doing odd experiments that got him expelled. That's what the word was, expelled from the Republic Science Corps. I think that's what it was called. So he was but then the Empire like hired him back and was like, hey, bring those experiments back, right? So now I'm thinking like, oh, hey, because Hemlock is the one that gives the Hunter and the crew the goggles of Tech. So I'm wondering, like, hey, did they recover his body and somehow, alive him or I don't know, but it's there. If they brought Ventress back,
Yeah,
they can
true.
absolutely do that. And I'm not against it. I'm not for it, but I'm not against it. I
Yeah,
would think
I
that
think
would
I'm
be
against it, to be honest.
weapon.
I think I'm against it.
I mean, that's fair. I'm just saying that there's breadcrumbs there that they've left that if it is Tech, I'm gonna be like, oh, yep, saw that coming. But I don't think that's the route that they're gonna take. I think they've given tribute to Tech enough, and
Yeah,
we're gonna move on from him. I mean, I do have some subtle feelings that it could be him, and I could see why, because the breadcrumbs are there,
yeah,
intentionally or not intentional, but they're there, and you can totally make the case for it. Um, I don't know, but I don't. Or is it Cody? I highly doubt it's Cody. I really hope it's not Cody because he had that moment of like him going AWOL and everything, and
yeah. Well, he's one that we actually don't know what happens to, though. Like, unlike Gregor Wolf and Rex, so we'll
well,
see
yeah,
how it
yeah,
goes.
and I think he might meet his demise at the end of the season, which is horrible. But
Yeah,
yeah, that would be. I hope he's not the clone operative because I really like that moment of like it didn't make me gasp, but it made me gasp when Crosshair was like, what about command, what about Cody, and Rampart's like, who? CT0459, and he's like, oh, Cody, yeah, CT0459 has gone AWOL. Isn't it
yeah.
interesting how all the close are close to run away? And it's like, wow, like I'm like I mean,
That was a
Rampart
good
is.
hemlock. Oh, that was a good Rampart. Sorry.
Thank you. But Rampart is such a jerk, to put it PG. And
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, so I love that moment where it was just said to us like that. Like 1 minute, Cody's talking to Crosshair, being like, you know, all those years in the war, and we've lost all our brothers for what? They had such a good discussion. Like, we're no better than droids if we're just following blind orders blindly. They had such a good discussion, and Crosshair like put it out. We're soldiers. We follow orders. And Cody was like, don't you want something more or something? They had such a again, the dialogue in this show is great. Cody leaves, whatever, and then the next scene is literally Rampart and Crosshair, and then it's like Cody abandoned his post. He went AWOL, and it's like, oh my god, whoa, like here we thought Cody was like for the Empire the entire time and died in service serving the Empire, whatnot, and then we get this twist of like, yo, he went AWOL. Where'd he go? And I'm
yeah,
okay if they don't answer in this show and if they do something else with him, but it's there. That's all I'm happy for. But that was such a great moment last season. But anyways, I just there's so much to Crosshair, and like we're there's and so I just love this Clone Rebellion story because it brings so much layers that you can add, and I love that Senator Chuchi is behind this, and there's even the separatist senator that we met last season, or I'm sorry, season 1. And yeah, like those 2 episodes were great because of all that, continuing that story of the Clone Rebellion. So yeah, should we talk about Asajj Ventress now?
definitely. Well, before we do,
Because yeah.
bad territory. Not a lot to talk about. It was sort of just a Fennec Shand episode. That
Oh
the
right.
entire existence of that episode was to just bring Asajj Ventress into the story. So, not a lot to talk about there.
It
It was a good episode, enjoyable, but
it
not a lot
it
to
was
dissect.
it felt like Florida for sure. And I'm sure you can relate to some Australian territory that it reminded you of, but
Yeah,
it totally reminded me of a Mandalorian episode where it's like, You need information,
Oh,
you're gonna do
100%.
something with me. And it was just like, all right, I'll allow it because Fennec Shand is from that show, and
Yeah.
she's the star of this. And but to me it didn't even feel like a drag. Like I genuinely
Yeah.
had a great time with it, and Fennec was awesome. I'm actually watching the Batman animated series that came out like in 2003 or 4, back when I was like a kid. And I didn't know that what's her name? Why I just
Ming-Na
Ming Na Wen, right? She's a recurring character in there. She's a voice. And she plays like a cop, and I'm like, dude, she's such a good voice actor. And I just love her Fennec. I love her Fennec Shannon. I love that she was like, yeah, I'm totally on board to voice the character in animation too. Like I love that, like that we have that connection between live
Yeah.
action and animation. Because I was always fighting when I was a kid. I would tell classmates of mine, I was like, you gotta watch the Clone Wars. Oh, that cartoon show. And it's like, no, this is on the same level as the movies, yo. Like
Yeah.
this exists in the same universe. And like people would always doubt it. And even on Instagram, people are like, oh, that cartoon show. And it's like, no, like now that we have like voice actors and like, I mean, now it's so different because it's like, oh yeah, Ahsoka, great. But like before, it was like we were fighting for animation rights. We were fighting for the Clone Wars to be recognized in the way that it is now. And then it was recognized. And then we start fighting for Rebels to be recognized. And now I feel like I'm fighting for the Bad Batch to be recognized because it's like there's heavy stuff going on here. And it's literally made for Star Wars fans. I don't even think they're catering to the general audience. This is made directly for Star Wars fans, which is
Yeah.
what Star Wars usually never does. They try to make it for everybody, but this show is literally meant like just cater to Star Wars fans in every way. That doesn't feel cheap at all. It feels like a genuine, well constructed story. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
No, I've the last few weeks, the few conversations I've had with people about Star Wars has been people asking me, oh, like, oh, so you like Star Wars? Like, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? I go, oh, it's so and so. But my favorite Star Wars thing is Star Wars Rebels, and then having to
Mm-hmm.
explain that to people, and they go, really, like that animated show? Huh? Okay, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, just trust me, man, you gotta watch it. Like,
Right.
anyways, but that's a whole other podcast in itself. Let's talk about Asajj Ventress, the Harbinger. I liked the way they did this one, to be honest. The episode felt strange to me. Like I didn't finish the episode and go, "Oh my god, that was incredible." I definitely enjoyed it. Like I guess already knowing Asajj was appearing, I liked just it felt like the right continuation of the character from what we saw in Dark Disciple and all that sort of thing. She's still the same way in a sense, but also completely different in another way. So yeah, really love this episode. But Mike, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, we all knew Ventress was coming. So, and I love that they didn't do like this big hurrah for her. It was just she just literally walked onto the
Walks into the screen, yeah.
into the frame or to the screen with Omega in hand. Like they got it started right away. I'm like, good. We're not waiting till the middle of the episode for like a mysterious woman is on the island. It's like, nope, right into it. And I love that. And I love that in the middle of the episode, it was them fighting her. It wasn't at the end and trying to do a quick resolution. Like it took time to get there at the end where, it just was well done. And for me, you and I had this kind of conversation early on, but first, when we did the trailer review for Bad Batch, I was like, I don't, Ventress to me, I love her character so much that her death in the book in Dark Disciple, and this is not the book's fault. This is just the way Disney handled Clone Wars, canceled it, right? Like it just felt cheap to have her death in a book when she was such a prominent character in Clone Wars, and it's like, dude, we were amounting to something great with her story, and then she got killed, and I think it carries that conversation, what you were saying earlier about people being redeemed, dying, and it's like
Mm.
she just was she was working on her redemption moment, and she did Dark Disciple, and then bam, you know what, she dies, and it's like, what? She was literally in the Jedi Temple with Quinlan Voss, and she was working alongside the Jedi, and then she's dead. It's like, what? Like it just carried that trope of like, oh hey, you were bad, now you're redeemed, now you die. And it's like, I love that
Yeah.
we're getting away from that, and her being resurrected in this and showing us that she's alive and well is great to me. And that, what, for me, this episode was great because dialogue, right? And I mean, just Asajj Ventress in general, loved hearing Futterman's voice again. Like, just she still carries that Ventress voice, but it sounds like a different Ventress. It doesn't sound like the conniving Ventress that we're used to. It kind of seems like a Ventress that's kind of tired, not so Slither like. Like, she kind of has like a to her voice, and you didn't really hear that this time around. So I wonder if that was intentional or unintentional. But then at the end and I was waiting for it. I was when Ventress and company were departing. I was like, oh, is she just gonna leave like that? I really hope every time we leave Ventress, she leaves us with something like a cool line. And I'm like, I really want something like that. And I was like, oh, like nothing beats her bounty. The episode season 4
I was about
bounty.
to say.
Nothing beats to have like, oh, so you're by your or you're on or so you're what, you're too cool for our team now. And she's like, I have a different path ahead of me or something like that. She's like, I have a future now or something. And she walks off into like just the stargaze, and it's so amazing. And that Clone Wars book that came out years ago that like was a retelling of some of the episodes from a different perspective. I loved her story specifically, the retelling of it in book form. It was great. And I just think Ventress, like how she has that snake on her pauldron, like a misunderstood creature. That's who she is, right? So I absolutely love Ventress, and I hate it when the clones were about to fight her. I'm like, no, like you guys don't understand. Like she was like trying to help Ahsoka. Like she went through all this stuff. Like, yeah, she beat up Wolf in the process, but I'm like, she's just a changed person. And I just love that ending dialogue she had of like I got more lives to live or something like that, or I got a few lives left. I'm like, oh my god, like that is awesome. Like, yeah, you just can't kill her. Like, she's great. And I love that it was just dialogue that I was waiting for from her, that I was like, yes, ended on that note. And that camera even like shows you her ship taking off, and like sees it taking off in the distance and going into space, into the atmosphere and disappearing. And it's like, wow, that was really impactful for me. Like I said, I just love Asajj Ventress's character. I liked her in Clone Wars when she was bad, right? But when we had that, I think I was in 6th grade when that whole arc started with Dooku betraying her. That it just changed the game for Clone Wars in general, but for Ventress's character, right? So I just love seeing her journey develop throughout the years. And then, then 2015 June 2015 rolls around. This book comes out, and then she dies, and it's like, what, why, who, what, when, where? Like, she dies in a book, okay, and her death was well done, right? But it just, I just love that she's back. And I really wanted to see her character in this era, because I want to see what she did not only after Dooku's death, but in this new era of switch of Republic, like just figuring out that she was a pawn, right? She figured out she was a pawn with Dooku, but then she figured out she was not only was she the pawn, but Dooku was the pawn, and Palpatine was at the amalgamations, controlling at the helm, controlling everything. And she's one of those interesting characters that I want to hear what she has to say about all that. And she kind of did. So when she was like, "You guys were pawns, I was a pawn," like we should have middle ground there. So I love that they addressed that. But yeah, what a great episode. I don't know, like the dialogue, and I loved when she was doing the Force thing in the water, and all the fish were coming to her. It felt like such a Disney moment, but it was cool anyway. And the animation is just so great. The illuminations on that big swamp, or that big water creature, like you just saw it, like those interesting colors on it. And then when she was like, I got this, and she like, it was just great because she used the Force for, I thought she was gonna go up to the creature and like stab the mouth with the lightsaber or something like Anakin would do, but no, she like calmed it down by using the Force, and it reminded me of something Ezra would have done. And she just like calmed the creature down with her hand and all, with the Force. But it was such a beautiful moment. Yeah, it just, like, I'm such a Asajj Ventress fan, and this was A+, like all of it.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I don't have much to add, to be honest, besides like I think this is just the beginning of the return of Asajj Ventress. You know what I mean? Whether that's Bad Batch or something else, I think she's going to be continuing on her way, like whether show, book, whatever it is, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of her. Questions will be answered. Loved the line at the end, like you were saying. Well, I've got a few, tell the Empire I've got a few more lives left, or something like that. Acknowledging what, a lot of the more hardcore Star Wars fans are thinking. And yeah, it was just a really nice return. And overall, just an enjoyable episode. Like every episode of the Bad Batch has been week to week, and that's pretty much our mid-season review. We're going to try and cover the rest of the season a bit more consistently, week to week. We'll see how we go. But whether that's week to week or every second week, whatever it is, you can trust that we will definitely cover it eventually here. Real quick, Mike, something happened while we were going on this most recent month. The Acolyte dropped a trailer. Really quickly, tell me, what did you think of the trailer? How you feel about the series, all that?
I mean, it looks like a well-made show. Like all the FX and all that, like, look great. I'm interested in this. The martial arts also looks freaking awesome. Like all the flipping around and stuff, that look great. I'm just very curious to because I saw that it's gonna be like a 30-minute show, gonna have like 6 or 8 episodes or something like that, and I'm like, I really hope it doesn't feel rushed and all that. But it looked great to me. I mean, the tease that we got, I mean, I got amped up for it, and I'm like, June seems far away, but it's really not. Like, we're already in April, so like all of April, May, and then it's like June 1st, so we have 2 months until Acolyte, which is kind of crazy. But just to put things in perspective, and I love that it's a season or 2-episode premiere and all that, and it just looked great. I mean, you and I are big fans of High Republic. I'll say Phase 1 because I haven't read Phase 3, and I know you haven't either. I know you're a big fan of Phase 2, so I'll leave you at that. But I have not read any of Phase 2, so I'm a big fan of Phase 1. I'll just leave it at that. And I seen Vanessa Rowe in the trailer was awesome, even though she kind of looks like Nebula from Marvel, from the MCU. But I mean, everything just looks great. It's really cool to read about Jedi in their prime time and not have this foreshadowing darkness. Because even right when you're watching Phantom Menace, there's this looming darkness that is coming, and I'm really curious to read. Well, actually, this is taking place after, like, just right as their prime time is ending, but with darkness coming. But it seems like we're still gonna be up on that pedestal. So I'm just excited to see like a different type of show, and it's set in a way different era that we have not really explored, and that we haven't explored in live action or animation. So besides the High Republic kids show, but
don't forget High Republic Adventure with Nubs. My favorite show. No, for sure. Yeah, I'm right there with you. It looks good. Honestly, like, I'm just praying and hoping that it's on like that Andor level in terms of just like quality writing, all that sort of stuff. Because for me, a show is just entirely built by its writing, the dialogue, all that sort of stuff. The rest sort of takes care of itself if that core nucleus is strong. So I'm looking forward to it. It looks very promising. I'd say that much. I don't want to get all excited without reason to, I guess, but I think it's showing a lot of promise, and I'm can't wait for it. And we only have to wait 1 month after the Bad Batch finale. So, like Mike says, it'll come around before you know it. So, can't wait for that. But thanks for tuning in with us for another Star Wars Exchange episode. I know our podcast drops are pretty inconsistent these days, but we appreciate all of you that stick around and listen. Episode to episode. I was going to say week to week, but I guess that's not how it is. So sadly, episode to episode, we appreciate it. Trying our best, putting out as many eps as we can. Like I said, I'm flying over in just over a week, which is pretty exciting. So we'll expect some fun content. I
think I say a month, and I was like, yeah, sounds about right. A month, but you said a week right now. That just broke.
Quick. Yeah. No, a lot of exciting content coming on the pod, on IG, all that sort of stuff. So stay tuned. But yeah, that's it for today. Mike, where can the good people find you?
You guys can find me reading Star Wars The Living Force by John Jackson Miller. Shout out Del Rey that sent Ari and I a copy. I don't know if we'll get to reviewing this on the podcast, but I'm like 3 chapters in. Good Jedi stuff. Like,
we're both keen on reading it for sure.
And look at this awesome cover. Like, this looks like a Legends cover. Like this.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it makes me just want to dive into the book. So I'm just like, look at that awesome cover. Make sure you read, everybody. Reading is important. So yeah, there we go. We went
Shout out Del Rey.
we went from Brotherhood to this. This is crazy. So um and I mean, if you're a fan of Master and Apprentice, like first chapter is about Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, and it's just like giving off that energy. Like this takes place after Master and Apprentice. So it's like, and it's just great. It's just, so anyways, I don't even know what the story is about yet. I think the Jedi go on a retreat or something, and it's like the Jedi Council goes on a retreat. I really don't know, but it's still cool to read about Depa Billaba and all that. So I'm really keen to dive into it. And this is before the Clone War, right? So before Anakin Skywalker, before the Phantom Menace. So I'm just like, it's just really cool to like really get into that like time setting that we really haven't explored yet. So a lot of pages though,
Definitely.
like 400.
No, I'm with you.
But I'm on spring break. I'm gonna be reading that, so you guys can catch me reading that, or you'll see me sometimes posting, maybe hopefully on all_Star Wars when I have time or have energy. I try to get some posts out there during the break and all, because I do miss doing my little Instagram stuff. But that's a whole job, man. I really ain't got the time or energy. But yeah, how about you? Where can people find you and all that?
At Star Wars_exchange, same spiel. Hopefully I can get there and all that. But find us on the podcast. That's where both of us mainly are these days, it seems. So if give us a 5-star rating on Spotify, our podcast, if you enjoy the show, really appreciate it. Thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. Comment. We love when you guys get the algorithm going, more numbers listening. It only means more people in our nice little community here. We love it. So thank you very much for listening. We will talk to you all soon. As always, may the force be with you. See you later.